Okay, this is segment 19.3. Just so you know, this is a reggae drummer playing at 70 beats per minute. This segment is called New Short Works. Okay, so that's a reggae drummer. Never met that guy before. And it's at a different tempo. So, hey, that's all part of having a conversation. It's kind of like talking to yourself, because I'm having a conversation, a musical conversation with this drummer who I don't know. But I told him what to do before he played. But not exactly what to do, just how many beats per minute and how intensely to play. But I didn't know what he was going to play. And you know, that's like having a real drummer too. If you get a drummer that you don't know, they're going to do that. And that's okay. That's the way life is. So about the topic, New Short Works. I've been noticing, perhaps you have too, that the attention span of humanity is shrinking every year. You used to go to a movie and they would point a camera at somebody and it could actually look at them for like a minute or two. But now it's more like 5 seconds. The cuts happen really, really quickly. And people are used to changing the perspective really, really quickly. And I think audiences, for the most part, don't really want to go to a concert and hear a piece of music that's 40 minutes long. Yes, I know that symphonies tend to be like 40 minutes long, sometimes longer. But I think that what the world really wants now is what I'm calling new short works. New, meaning it's not the same old stuff that they've heard before, so it's like a lot of premieres of new things, uniqueness, innovation, different stuff. And short works, meaning let's keep it down between, let's say, 3 and 10 minutes. If you can't say what you want to say musically in 3 or 4 minutes, then you probably don't know what you want to say. And if you're saying it and it's coming out really well and you're into it and the audience is into it, and your bandmates are into it, well, you might want to keep doing it for 10 minutes. But if you start going much longer than that, the audience is going to start to drift away. Now, I like jam bands as much as the next guy. I grew up on the Grateful Dead. And 10 minutes is fine when you're 20. It's not as fine when you're 70. And I think that New Short Works is what the world is calling for. So that's why these concerts I have coming up, I've programmed it so that everybody is having to play pieces that are 5 minutes or less. And there are some composers saying, well, I want to play a piece that's 20 minutes long. But here's my philosophy about this. Let's say you have 8 composers, and there's an audience, and one of these composers is doing something that the audience really doesn't like. Well, you know what? They could just hold their breath for 3 or 4 minutes until that piece is over, and then they can get back to like other stuff. New Short Works allows more people to be on the program than if there were 3 musicians each playing pieces that were like 20 minutes long. And it gives the audience a break so that in case what is going on experimentally doesn't turn them on, they can ignore it for a few minutes. That's not so terrible. But if they have to ignore it for like 20 minutes, they're going to get up and leave. So I think New Short Works is the way to go, both for the attention span of the public and because increasingly musicians are having to collaborate to do concerts, which cost money to put on, And if you have 8 composers in a program instead of 3, then you're sharing the cost of doing the concert 8 ways instead of 3 ways. So if there's food that has to be catered, and there's ticket sales to play percentages on, and there are halls to rent, and there are all these things. If you want to be a composer and deliver your music in the world, well, it's expensive. Unless you're famous enough that people pay you. But before you're famous enough that people pay you, you have to pay other people to get your music out there. And I think the new short works format is a really good way for composers to collaborate on programming, not necessarily on the pieces of music, although they sometimes do, but on the act of being a composer in the world. New short works represents a different business model than old long works. New short works makes more sense financially than old long works. Unless, of course, we're talking about classical music. And yes, there are plenty of classical audiences that do not want to hear new stuff. But you know what? They're dying out. They're getting older. When I go to Tanglewood and I go to see the symphony, I'm the oldest one there, and I'm 72. Sorry, I'm the youngest one there, not the oldest one there. There's nobody younger than me hanging out in Tanglewood. Hardly any musicians who are young and creating new stuff are going to hear symphonies, because if the trombonist in the Boston Symphony dies and they advertise for a new trombonist, they get like 1,000 resumes from conservatory-trained wonder kids. And the other 999 don't get anywhere. So back to reggae for the last 30 seconds or so. Let's see if I could make it do 30 seconds.